Quite all right.
Whoa. Why don't we get rid of this part?
Good evening.
Hello.
Ellen, how are you tonight?
Good. Please introduce yourselves for the record.
I am Tommy Miller. I'm the general manager of the country club of Woodbridge.
Ryan Phelps, Regional Director of Operations for Billy Casper.
Thank you.
Petrozelli, Golf Course Superintendent, Country Club Woodbridge.
Deacon Hotchkiss, Chair of the Country Club of Woodbridge.
Thank you.
So we want to thank everybody for taking some time to let us present tonight. It's been a fun 2014 to say the least at the country club. We've seen strong agronomic performance and also strong financial results. This year we're looking to exceed the current revenue budget by about $120,000. The course has remained in spectacular condition. We hosted a number of big events this year, which have led to some notoriety and also, again, some strong financial ties. The course itself has recently done a few renovations that we're going to talk about. We recently did a renovation project that BCG paid for on hole number 5 to increase the water flow from down the fairway and then make the hole number 5 more playable. We connected the cart paths around the facility on holes 10 through 18, and then we'll be finishing up a couple in the spring. But this will allow, again, more playability as the conditions get a little bit dicey in our shoulder season months. From tee to green, we've shown significant improvement, and you guys will see in the back of the presentation some pictures of what the facility looked like this year. We've continued to be aggressive in both fairway and green aerification, and we've recently put in a fan on hole number 1 to allow the airflow to circulate a little better. We've seen a substantial improvement in the condition of that green. As far as revenues go, we brought in 100 new members this year and increased the dues line by over $100,000. We've brought in a new $130,000 in new outing business, which has led to again strong ties to our green fee and cart fee line, and then overall facility revenue again exceeded by $120,000. The rounds were up roughly 11% over prior year. The reason this is so significant, a lot of our peers have seen regression in the 2 to 5% range. So for us to be up 11% speaks volumes as far as where we came from the last couple of years. So that kind of covers just the overall summary of 2014. So what we're going to do is, if you can turn to the Net Promoter Score, the NPS. It's this little guy right here. What this is it measures a guest's willingness to promote your facility or recommend your facility to a friend. Last year, we received a negative 12% rating, meaning our detractors outweighed what we thought we were. This year, we've seen that number switch tremendously. We're up 28%. We have 28%. What we call promoters of the club. Right, and I'm going to let Ryan speak a little bit.
Well, you covered it well, but it's a positive Net Promoter Score. So our company average is 41%. But we're not there yet. And some of those challenges even revolve around the experience that they have while they're there. So not having a food and beverage restaurant type setting, having a limited flight driving range, those things can impact the promoter score. I think the highlight is, as we're showing much more successful financial results this year than we have in the previous 2 seasons, it would also make sense that our Net Promoter Score is going up. So this is a marketing person's language for what do people actually think about your facility. The way that we were able to gather this data was through the emails and information that we capture from the guest. So we will then reach out to that guest with an email saying, click here if you'd like to participate in a survey. So it's we're just starting to benchmark this stuff, but it'll be nice to watch the progression moving in the right direction.
So we know that we can't just hang our hat on 2014, though. We know that we have to move forward into 15. So what we did is we have some new and fun marketing things that we're able to take advantage of at Billy Casper. We track our overall email performance, and what this tells us is when we send out an email, how many people are reading it? What are they doing, to kind of gravitate towards your facility? We found our average open rate was 7% higher than our BCG standard, which Ryan will tell you is significant, as a significant percentage. The click-through rate, 0.7, and the conversion rate, 1.7 higher than our BCG standard.
Right, so what all of this means is that our email performance and the emails that we're sending to our guests are getting read and are getting clicked on and are getting, actually, we can follow if I send an email to you, Mr. Day, I can actually follow it and see if you played golf, so I can follow it back to the point of sale. So the numbers suggest that when we send emails, we're doing very well with those. People are opening them, they're forwarding them to friends, they're clicking on them. And actually, we've been able to put sort of a dollar value to those emails, if you will. And yeah, about $3,200 in additional revenue for every time we send an email. For people that came based on that email, we followed those golfers to the point of sale. We talk a lot in the golf communities about data capture, about what we do with this. There's a pile of reports that we can bring, but this is the message in front of you tonight is just that we're tracking the behavior. We're tracking which types of offers work. If it's about a golf offer, if it's about an event, if it's about a newsletter from Tommy, for instance. Measuring how many people we have in our system, who it's going to, who's opening those. And then on the following page, Tommy will show you, or I can just take this part, we've actually appended the database with third-party data. So we've went out and bought data on the market that actually appends roughly 50% of the golfers that we have playing. We're now getting how many children they have in the home, what their age is, their gender, marital status, household income, geographic report. This is small, but if you blow this up and we put the towns to it, it's what you would think. It's local, and it starts to diminish as you get farther away. But the reason this is important is now we know who the golfer is, we know a little bit about them, and we can start targeting them specifically with different offers. So rather than sending an email to 20,000 people, I might be sending an email to just married people that are male that have one kid that are 35 to 40 years old. And so what we'll do over 160 properties in our portfolio is we can draw some conclusions on certain messages and what works well with the public. So that stuff is happening now, but as we collect this and as we get a little stronger on the marketing side and in our own firm, we're just getting a lot farther along than we were a few years ago.
And then I'm just going to take you through some of the improvements or the changes, some things that we've done this year that have made this year so special. So we'll start with the 2014 picture. So these are just, take a look at the golf course condition. For any of you who had the luxury of coming by and playing the country club this year, the condition was phenomenal. Dennis and his team were first class. This is the product that we want to put forward that kind of represents what the citizens are paying for. This looks, absolutely fantastic. We'd put our greens up against anybody in the area right now. Going back to some of the events that we held, we hosted the PGA Assistant Championship. This was a huge deal, not only in the local market, but we had two guys qualify for national, the National PGA down in Florida. So this is a pretty first-class event that we put on. What's exciting about this is the PGA of America thought that we were good enough to host this event. The club had, the quality of golf course was good enough to participate in this, and actually did well. We drew rave reviews from the players. So we had a ladies member guest. This just shows, we have beach balls in the green, but this is a way we want people to come to Woodbridge. We want them to have fun. We want them to enjoy their time when they're at the facility. We also did a world's largest golf outing. This is a Billy Casper initiative that we do. We raised over $7,000 for the Wounded Warrior Project in a single day. We had 20 vets play in the group, but we had donations from the NFL Players Association. We had donations from bed and breakfast. We had a lot of really cool rounds of golf. Long story short, it was a way for us to kind of give back in 2014, and to definitely, we just had Vets Day to a group of people that, have really done a lot for us. And then, just some other fun stuff. We did a Glow Golf event. We did a men's member guest. So we try to make sure we have kind of something for everyone at the club. And lastly, we talk about that email marketing portion, but this is just a quick breakdown of we did an Oktoberfest, just a way to get people to the club on a day that may be a little cold, it may be a little dreary out, but we make the best of it, and we're able to take a day that's late in October and turn it into cash. So that's one of the things that we're excited about, bringing everybody together, having fun, and then creating a quality experience. So.
And I think I'll just summarize by saying we think we had a very strong year. And we beat budget, and frankly, in a lot of markets this year, we didn't. Certainly bucked the trailing couple of years that we've had here. Golf course is in much better condition. Members are on the rise. Membership is on the rise. Outings are on the rise. Special events are on the incline. So we feel the momentum now, and I think we're firing on all cylinders. Probably for, we wish we were there last year, but now we're finally there.
We have the financials through September 30th. Do you want to just give us a quick summary?
Yeah, I didn't bring the financials with us, but I believe we're beating revenues now by $120,000.
You want a copy?
If I could. So, from a revenue perspective, sorry, let me get my bearings. Okay. Would you rather me talk about September or more in a year-to-date perspective?
Oh, if you have year-to-date, that would be great.
Yeah, we've got year-to-date on here. Looking at. Oh, okay. We actually have financials through. We're actually just getting October drafts now, so the 120K is going to have.
Is that plus the 30?
Right. So so this is through October. So we're beating revenue in the financials in front of you by 53. We've increased that lead. We're actually starting to see that lead increase as we get into the off season because we just frankly didn't budget that much revenue. From an expense standpoint, labor and expenses, we're trying to match or keep it, given the new structure of the deal where we essentially, even you've paid us some money, but we're leasing it and assuming a lot of the risk or all of the risk. We've been very cautious and careful on labor levels as well as expense levels. And this year, fortunately, a couple things happened this year. We had one of the latest starts in history. And it seems like such a nice summer, and it was, but it didn't start very fast. Well into April, it was cold, it was snow-covered, so we lost out on some significant revenue there. But we did have a really good, May, June, July, August, September were exceptional. So that certainly helped in the success. But when we look back at the rainfall year over year, it did seem relatively similar in most of the months with one or two exceptions. But moving into the expense lines, operational expenses have been a little high. Some of that was, and again, this was the budget that we internally set forth just based on the 195 payment. But there were additional expenses that we just didn't anticipate. Some higher than expected utilities, few more cart repairs than we had expected. Some rather normal things, but in essentially every line item we're performing right at or very close to plan. Well, what we've done, so Billy Casper Golf now essentially takes home whatever there is left to take home, but we start sharing on the revenue. So we've paid for those, and those are operating expenses. Yeah,
Sure.
That would be either maintenance and G&A, depending on which.
Correct.
Now, we're
Total labor?
oh, I'm sorry, in an the operational expense line. So if you look down, G&A you'll see is 13,000 high. And then in other departments, we might find an efficiency somewhere and spend it back. But what we're trying to do is be good stewards of your assets still. The cart path project is going to be valuable for years to come if the golf course remains, because it allows golfers to play on inclement weather days. That
Kicking us back money, right, on that 825?
Well, that's the thing. So you're going to receive 50% of all golf revenues over 825. So I'm hesitant to make the calculation today, but yes, we're over that.
Sure.
There will be, and I think there's yes, yeah.
But I'm wondering, because I haven't seen October, but right about here, you're breaking even. You're showing 199, but you're including the 198. You as Billy Casper, you're breaking even here.
Right, we don't have any
Right.
fees baked in there. We've actually pulled out some expenses. So this was always on a thin margin for us too.
I guess I'm just wondering, I mean, Billy Casper's not in business to break even, I wouldn't.
No, but we're committed to this partnership and knowing how it started. I think
Okay.
we all feel appropriate that we're in this. Oh, I did want to bring up one other thing. One expense item that has come up is we have had a failure of our pump system. There will be a roughly $20,000 to $25,000 expense that would be a town of Woodbridge required expense to fix the existing pump. That's actually only fixing half of it. I think we've agreed through a couple of meetings that we have two pumps at the golf course. One's completely failed. One is well past its useful life but still functioning. So we need to at least replace one before April.
So how is that coming before us? Because there's no budget. In other words, we make that payment to them for the agreement, so they don't come to us at budget time typically. So are they gonna come to us at budget time?
I don't know if it'll come from Casper or.
Either have to come from existing funds, contingency funds, or the funds that they have in excess that they return.
Yeah,
But
okay.
we have a line item that,
We don't have this budget, this particular.
no, we don't have it for this,
No.
no, I understand that, but.
And based on
I'm
the
just asking
timing,
for this next.
based on the timing of their request, whether or not we can have it in next year's budget or not, will determine once they complete
Because
their
you're talking
review.
about making these repairs in the spring?
We would want to do it, well, I brought the expert.
Okay, let me talk to the experts. We're making these repairs in the spring, like March?
Well, we'll be looking to gear up the system by April,
Ah,
mid-April, so we would like to have the replacement pump in place beforehand, so we can start the system up fully.
okay.
You know what will interest me anyway, I don't know about anybody else, but like, before you guys gave us the presentation on perhaps a wish list on the first green and things like that, I mean, this is obviously something that needs to be done, but if you could put together other items that maybe aren't critical, but that really over the next few years are things that should be done, we could get as a town an idea of, what money really would have to go into it.
They have their
Wouldn't we do that as part of the budget
we've done a
process?
lot of that, right?
I don't know if that's coming,
Yeah.
because the answer is we pay them a sum of money under our contract, and we have no obligation to make these extra payments. They have to come to us, so that's what I was asking. Are they gonna come to us at budget time?
Correct, yeah,
Well,
that's a
then,
capital budget presentation.
okay, so then like others come with the 6-year thing,
Correct.
so you could come with the same.
They'll
type
have a
things.
similar presentation, correct. Yeah.
And my question would be, I see, where you've spent some money, where Casper decided to spend some money on capital improvements. And again, I think going to Joe's point, last year originally, I believe it was $55,000 to fix the first hole, and maybe $85,000 total you were looking for capital improvements, and we all put that off. We didn't spend it from the town, you decided not to do it for the year. And in that budget presentation for this following 5 years, for the total 6-year plan, there was additional money each year for projects that you had hoped to get to, or the town had hoped to get to. So we put off the money last year, a fairly large sum, and I'm assuming that you're gonna be looking at some of those same projects. But my question really would be, at that time, during that budget process, you, as a group, were pretty sure that it was becoming a necessity, that project, if it wasn't done, could become a a dangerous situation because of how it affected the wall around the pond and that type of thing. Has that been addressed in any way through either your funds? Because this doesn't give me a breakdown of what you spent some of your funds on.
No, it has. I mean, what we've done right now is gone and tried to come up with a quick solution to do two things. Try to retain and gain membership and daily fee golf, but not spend capital that might outlast it even being a golf course. Except where it makes sense on some immediate return. For instance, the $10,000 we spent on cart paths, roughly, we probably lost in the first 10 days of May from being closed because it rained every day. So those make a little sense. The thing we did on the first hole, we bought a fan. You know, if you've been a huge permanent fan, semi-permanent fan, that just keeps it cooler, and that has helped. So no, to answer your question, from structurally, we haven't done anything. No. We did do a large-scale drainage project, part of the whole.
Capital improvements that might outlast the course itself, for sure. But the reason I brought that particular scenario up is when we were told budget process time, we were actually told that it was bordering on a health concern or a danger. Safety concern. And I'm wondering, has that changed? Has it been propped up in some
Are
way?
you talking about just the one bridge that there was some concern
No,
about?
it was.
What are you referring to?
They were gonna fix around the pond, there was a wall that was breaking down.
It was one little retaining wall.
Well, it was a $55,000 expense to fix that area.
I'm trying to get the.
And it was around the pond, there was a retaining wall that was
So
giving
is that what
way,
you're
and they
talking
thought it was a
about?
safety concern, and to the point where they brought it up to us as something they really wanted to get done last year, before the new arrangement was made. So I'm just wondering, safety concern-wise, has that even been addressed in some manner?
No, but what I can say is we've had an internal and external auditor from our insurance company and internally from a gentleman that just does audits, who have both passed us on that right now. I mean, our insurance company is aware of what it looks like out there. From a safety perspective, we're not talking about something that's, I'm not an expert, but I don't see that happening quickly. We're talking about a retaining wall that's kind of leaning. To me, it's like a crack in the sidewalk. I'm not sure you would see it happen. I think over time, it's just going to kind of fall into the water. I don't know. Is it unsafe?
Whether it's unsafe or not, it's leaning.
But it's not, you don't walk next to it, or it's leaning into the water. And at some point, I think the green is just going to start to slide that way.
Portion of the presentation where you guys wanted to move the green forward.
We do, we did, and
So
I
that
think
was a-
that was a
that,
helpful tool to use, is that we think that green is.
Funds.
Right.
Well.
We understand, that's
Yes,
right.
Well, we were trying to improve the playability of the
Right.
hole, trying to move the green out of a hollow that doesn't get airflow.
Right.
And we're trying to get rid of the wall at the same time and that pond. So we're trying to improve a number of things.
The wall's not fine, you're gonna lose that hole to the water, but it's not, the only thing I would disagree with is, I'm not sure it's a safety hazard, but it needs to be
We
addressed.
commend you on the fan solution.
It was a more economical solution.
Any other questions? Thank you very much. Thanks for the very good job this year, too. Now, as many of you recall, last year, just around this time, we had an ad hoc Country Club of Woodbridge committee, and we held 2 community conversations. Yeah, I know. And the members of the ad hoc committee have continued now as the group doing the first review of the responses to the RFP for the country club. Carolyn Wolf is the chair, Andy Esposito is the vice chair. Thank you both very much for being here and your patience as our meeting is extended a little bit. And we appreciate our progress.
Extended it a little bit.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a Country Club of Woodbridge ad hoc committee, and that committee is comprised of myself, Carolyn Wolf, Andy Esposito, Debbie Freed, Chris Lovejoy, Tom Kennefick, Deke Hotchkiss, and Gary Desir. We met on the following dates: August 20th, September 2nd, September 8th, October 1st, and November 3rd. The committee as a whole heard presentations from the 2 responders on separate occasions, September 2nd and September 8th. On October 15th, First Selectman Ellen Scalatar, myself, Chris Lovejoy, and Betsy Yagla went to the 2 site visits. And First Selectman Ellen Scalator and myself met with each of the 2 bidders to follow up on questions and requests for information on October 7th and October 17th. We reviewed the objectives laid out in the RFP and a list of evaluation criteria that was developed from the information gathered at the community conversations. Both contributed to our evaluation of the proposals. At our last meeting, we came to a consensus. We are working on a recommendation and expect to send a report to the Board of Selectmen soon.
Thank you. I also wanted to follow up. Betsy has been working to schedule the next meeting, which I think will take place next
Wednesday.
week. And then, as long as we know that's happening, Jerry is going to be scheduling a special meeting of the Board of Selectmen where we can receive the report and the recommendations of the ad hoc committee.
What do you think the timing is on that?
We're looking, we just wanted to be sure that this meeting can take place next week. We're looking at, we hope, December 3rd, if everybody's available. We won't hold it unless all the selectmen can be there. So Jerry's going to check with everyone either later tonight or tomorrow.
So-
I'm not sure they've had everyone respond for their meeting next week. We want to make sure that the committee
Is
completes
the
its
goal to
work.
try to get it to us before the end of the year?
Yes, and we will also get the materials to the Board of Selectmen before the meeting with the ad hoc committee.
So December 3rd is a Wednesday. And their meeting is meant to be next week?
Yes, hopefully next Wednesday and then the Wednesday after,
And then it's
just
Thanksgiving.
because we have so many meetings to see about.
Sounds good.
Any questions? I have.
Are there any questions?
I have questions. Yeah.
You have questions?
Who are the respondents?
We don't know yet.
Why not?
I don't know. Do you know?
No, that's what I'm asking the committee, who the respondents are.
I can't tell you that right now, all of that.
How come?
Because, let me answer, okay? Basically, what our committee was charged to do is to meet and discuss the bidders' presentations, and that had to be an executive session.
Says who?
You were talking about it had to be an executive session.
I'm going to ask you not to interrupt. Let Carolyn finish and then we can.
And that was the charge of the committee, was to meet with the bidders, see their presentations, make recommendations, and send a report to the Board of Selectmen. Once we send you the report, we're done.
Okay. No, I understand that. I just have some questions on the process. So, all the meetings have been in executive session?
All the meetings begin in open session.
Uh-huh.
The minutes are filed for all of the meetings. There's a motion to go into
I
executive
have,
session.
Yeah, immediate motion to go into executive session.
generally.
So the meetings are primarily in executive session?
Yes, they are.
Can you tell me who goes into those meetings?
First Selectman Ellen Scalatar, as ex officio member, is always there.
Yep.
And then the committee members, I told you myself,
Yeah,
Debbie Freed, Chris Lovejoy, Andy Esposito, Tom Kennefic, Dee Kotchkus, Gary Desir, Betsy,
Yeah, who else?
and Jerry Weiner.
And Tony?
And Tony, yes, I'm
And
sorry.
Mylone?
No, he's never been in an executive session.
No, he has been in some.
According to the
Not all, but
minutes.
some. He has
All
been in
right,
some.
some.
I just
In
want
the
to,
beginning, you're right, in the beginning he was.
and I do want to clarify, it's not that meetings have to be an executive session, but under the Freedom of Information Act, when you are reviewing responses to RFPs, it is a specific exemption from Freedom of
I'm familiar
Information.
with it, but there's also things that need to be done to comply with that statute. And there has to be a certification. I don't want to get into that. I just want to get some factual information. So, there was a meeting on, bear with me. The last meeting, I believe you referred to it, was October 15th?
No, that was a site visit.
Okay, but the October 15th meeting, the minutes don't indicate it was a site meeting, so I'm learning that here, but it looked like it was a 4-hour some odd meeting that was attended by Carolyn, Chris Lovejoy, and Ellen, and Betsy. without a quorum, there was a motion made to go into executive session. So the site visit was an executive session? Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay. I'm wondering what was so, why couldn't anybody go on that site visit? You were just gonna go see a site, right? Why does that have, first of all, why does that comply with the FOI statute is my first question.
Well, I just.
Why did that have to be?
Well, the first thing I want to say very clearly, nobody on this committee, especially myself, is trying to hide anything from anybody.
I'm not suggesting you
No,
are.
but I just want to put that out there. And the other thing is, I'm relatively green, okay? Jerry and Ellen are frequently helping me when it comes to making the right motions, putting people into executive session correctly, and no one is trying to hide anything from anyone, especially not to the public. But what you have to understand is these two bidders, it can't be discussed right now because I can't even, you're talking about money. It can't be discussed.
I guess my first question is, are you saying you can't tell anybody in the public, including this board, the name of the bidders? Forget about the actual proposal itself. I'm just saying the name, that we can't be informed of the name of the bidders.
I've been instructed that it wasn't that way.
Can you tell me when that bidding process was closed?
I've been instructed not to say.
You know what, we're a week away from completing our assignment, which this board worked very hard to do. Okay, and what we really like to do is turn it over to the Board of Selectmen and then let you decide what you want to do with it, okay? That's what's our assignment, and we're a week away from doing that, and I think that we would that's basically where we are.
Yeah, we're working on that. I'm just wondering, it seems like I was just told that we can't be told the name of the bidders, not the proposals itself.
You know, I really think it's inappropriate at this point in time, and I think when we turn it over to the Board of Selectmen, and if you would like to not to do it in executive session, and, share it, you have the authority to do that. You as your group, you do.
Exactly.
That's not, we really believe that's your responsibility to handle that. As our committee,
I believe we
did what we did.
Yeah, our committee was just supposed to bring a report to the Board of Selectmen.
So I have one more.
We're anxious to get it finished and turn it over to you.
One more question. So you guys have a committee and those members, and other folks were invited into executive sessions. Can you tell me why? For what purpose?
Well, they're part of the...
No, Jim. I'm asking the chair and the vice chair.
If you know, or...
That's all.
Tell them. If you don't know, don't tell them.
That's all.
No, Joe, you're asking him to perform a legal question. I'm telling you why they were invited into executive session.
Decision to invite you.
No, but they get advice.
So did you advise them to invite me?
Yes.
Then that's my answer.
Completely different.
That's my answer.
Here's what I want to say.
Yes.
Okay, here's what I want to say. I think that instead of badgering the members of this committee, we should be thanking them for putting in, I don't know how many meetings you just listed, but it was 10 townspeople who have responded to a request on the part of this town to perform a task. I personally don't want to spend my time tonight badgering them over the process, and I don't think you should either.
Well, I'm doing it. And I'm not.
And you know what? It demonstrates just what your intent in all of this is, and that is to make these folks look bad. And I think you ought to be ashamed of yourself.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
You're shameless. You don't care who you are.
Why don't you sit there?
People are up here trying to do a job. I'm not talking to you.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm not talking to you.
Ellen?
I'm talking to him. And I'm telling him that he is badgering. Okay, now,
Wait.
okay.
Ellen?
Somebody call this meeting.
Just a minute.
No.
I'm done now.
We're going to come back to order. Just a minute. We're going to come.
Thank you for your work. Quite
we're gonna
frankly,
come back
I
to-
didn't think we needed your committee, because we proposed
Right, so you're gonna badger them.
I'm not badgering them. I want to know why they went into executive session.
Because they have a right to go into executive session,
Says
because
who?
that was their charge.
To go into executive session?
Joe,
That's the charge? Okay.
they were.
You want to negotiate in public?
No,
That's what you want to do?
Okay, look, it's just a
Based on
minute.
the proposal.
How
Excuse
much
me.
negotiation went on the field?
We were entitled to the names of the proposers at the end of all the when the bids were done.
Okay, okay. If you can't, just a minute. if we can't keep order, then we're just going to end the discussion.
Someone gets
Just a
first,
minute.
and somebody responds.
Just a minute.
That's the way it
I
works.
will recognize people to respond. I think people get the idea very well, that we have followed the process that this town has followed in the past with major responses to RFPs, that they are reviewed in executive session because that is in the best interest of the town. And as Susan said, we have had 7 excellent volunteers give their time to review this. It will come to the Board of Selectmen. We will have a discussion about to what extent we review this in executive session, to what extent we put it out in the public. I will tell you that I am committed to doing what is in the best interest of the town, and that's how we will proceed. Now, if there is any question left, if there are facts that someone would like to ask of these 2 people, we will entertain that. Anyone? Do you have a question you'd like to ask?
Yes.
Please, go ahead.
Again, I'm just asking one question.
Go ahead.
And if they say they can't answer it at this time, I'm thinking, based on the fact that the process ended in August, that we are entitled to just the names of the respondents.
But just, excuse me, okay.
We just had a meeting.
Did they have to file their proposals by the August 4th?
The process is not in August.
No, it hasn't.
That's when the.
They didn't have to file by the end of August 4th? And you're saying FOI doesn't allow for us to get the names?
August 4th.
Correct.
They had to have,
So just a minute.
then it's your opinion that FOI doesn't submit that we can have the
No,
names of
it
the
doesn't
following?
preclude it, but it allows it to be withheld in the best interest of the town.
It really is in the best
And just a minute, we are not asking for legal opinions from our town
No, I
volunteers.
thought I heard her open her presentation that it did preclude her from telling us.
And I corrected that.
Thank you.
That was Carolyn's understanding. It's
Thank you.
not precluded, it is permitted. And I made that decision
sorry
in the best
that I made that
interest of the
mistake.
residents of the town of Woodbridge, and I stand by that decision. As we just said, you will have the packets next week, and we will proceed from there. This is a very, very important issue and complicated issue facing our town, and I won't be bullied into changing my position about it. I am doing everything I can to protect the residents of Woodbridge and be sure we get to a correct result. And a few weeks here or there does not make a difference. What makes a difference is that we are contemplative and careful in what we do. And once the information is public, it's public. And in the meantime, these people have done a very excellent and conscientious job. And I hope and I trust that the Board of Selectmen will do the same thing. Thank you very much. We are moving on to the next agenda item. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, I will.